Greetings from Brother Stephen. I'm a student and witness of Jesus Christ. To all the inhabitants of the earth, I present to you the gospel of the kingdom. The holy seed mingled. That is the lesson title for today. And we're going to start off reading Genesis chapter 6. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God. Stop. The sons of God. Who are the sons of God? I do not think this is a tough question to answer. I think if you go back and read the previous chapters in the book of Genesis, it tells you exactly who the sons of God are. So we're going to go back and look at some of those verses to identify the sons of God. In Genesis 3:15, God said, "And I will put enmity," which means hatred, "between thee, Satan, and the woman, and hatred between your seed," which means Satan's children, "and her seed," the woman's children. So when you go to Genesis 4:1, it says, "And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstling of his flocks, and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had no respect. And Cain was very wroth." Cain was filled with jealousy and hatred for Abel. God said in Genesis 3:15, "I will put hatred between thee and the woman, and between your seed and her seed." Cain was the seed of Satan. Abel was the seed of God. Genesis 4:8, "And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against his brother Abel and slew him." That is the enmity between the seed of Satan and the seed of the woman. So the seed of Satan, the children of Satan, Satan's first child was Cain. And God's first child was Abel, whom Cain slew. If you go to Genesis 4:25, it says, "And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God said, She hath appointed me another seed." So Abel was the seed whom Cain slew. Seth is the seed that was appointed because Cain slew Abel. Seth is the seed of God. And what is another way of saying that? Seth is the child of God, or the son of God. And if you continue to read, it said instead of Abel, which means Seth is his seed instead of Abel, who was his seed, whom Cain slew. And Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. Enos was the first preacher of the gospel. Now, Seth had a son named Enos. Enos had Canaan. Canaan, Mahalalel. Mahalalel had Jared. Jared, Enoch. Enoch, Methuselah had Lamech, and Lamech had Noah. So by the time we get to Genesis chapter 6, these are the descendants of Seth. If you go to Genesis 5 and 22, we're going to start in Genesis 5 verse 21, and we're going to read. And Enoch lived 60 and 5 years and begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God. What does that mean when you walk with God? He was the Son of God. He was led by the Spirit. After he begat Methuselah 300 years, begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. If you go to the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 5, it says this: by faith Enoch was translated. What that means by faith, Enoch had faith in God. He walked with God. He was led by the Spirit. He was translated that he should not see death. Enoch did not die and was not found, because God has translated him. But before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased God. Now, what does it mean that Enoch was translated? If you go to 1 Corinthians 15, starting at verse 51, it says, behold, I'll show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Changed and translated means the same thing. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So what happened to Enoch? Enoch put on immortality, that he should not see death. Now, if you go to Genesis 6 and 8, it says, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just and perfect man in his generation. It says, Enoch had this testimony, that he pleased God. These are the sons of God. The descendants of Seth are the sons of God. If you go to Romans 8 and 14, it says this: for as many are led by the Spirit of God, which means walk with God, have faith in God, like Enoch had. It said they are the sons of God. So the sons of God in Genesis chapter 6, verse 2, are the descendants of Seth. So let's go back to verse 2. That the sons of God saw the daughters of men. So now the question is, who are the daughters of men? Well, besides the genealogy of Seth, the scriptures before Genesis 6 only give you the genealogy of one more person, and that is Cain. And you can read that genealogy in Genesis chapter 4, verses 17 through 24. Cain was the child of the devil. He slew Abel. So that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives, all of which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with men. When God said my spirit, he was talking about his patience. He was saying, my patience shall not always strive with man. Because what they just did by the sons of God, took to themselves wives from the daughters of men, that was unacceptable and intolerable to God. The Bible says, for that he is also flesh, sins ignorantly or inadvertently, easy to deceive. Yet his days shall be 120 years. If you go back to Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, it gives this report about Satan. It says Satan was the most clever beast of the field. Satan achieves his goals by indirect methods. This is what it means to be clever. So if you go to Genesis 3 and 15, God tells Satan that the seed of the woman, the sons of God, the descendants, Seth and Seth's descendants, he says, you shall bruise his heel, but that seed shall crush your head. So how did Satan, by indirect methods, try to prevent that from happening? Genesis 4 chapter 8. And Cain talked with his brother Abel, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel and slew him. Satan thought by slaying the seed of God that the seed of God was not going to crush his head. Satan called himself being clever and achieving his goals by indirect means. But if you go to Genesis chapter 4, verse 25 again, it says, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. And God said, she had appointed me another seed instead of Abel. So did Satan cleverness work for him? No, because Satan is not clever than God. So that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives, all of which they chose. This was another trick of Satan. God said that he was going to divide the seed with enmity. So what was Satan's indirect method? To unite the seed, mingle the seed back together. And so this is why the Lord said, my spirit, my patience shall not always tolerate man, for he is also easily deceived. Because Satan deceived the sons of God by having them see the daughters of men, that they were fair, and took them wives. Satan was trying to mingle the seed of God back with the seed of Satan. Now, when it say, yet his days shall be 120 years, it says, the scripture says that Adam lived for 930 years, Seth lived for 912 years, Enoch 905, Methuselah 895, Enoch was took by God, Methuselah 969, even Noah lived 950 years. But if you look at, Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Shem only lived 600 years. And the father of the Hebrews, which is Eber, only lived 464 years. So do you see this pattern? Their lifespan start decreasing. So if you go to Genesis 25 and 7, it says, and these were the days of Abraham, life which lived, and they say Abraham only lived 175 years. And then when you get to Jacob only, and you can look verses 20, Genesis 27, 28, Jacob only lives 147 years. When you go to Deuteronomy 34 and 7, and Moses was 120 years old when he died. So this is what it means when God said, yet his days shall be 120 years. God shortened the lifespan of man. You can Google this list of verified oldest people. The oldest person known to live that we have record of today is in 1875. Apparently, this person lived to be 122 years old. But if you Google that list of verified oldest people, no one lives longer than 120 years on average. Even the oldest people in the world today only live today about 117 years. God did this when he shortened the lifespan of man. I want to go to Exodus 23, and we're going to read from verses 20 to verses 33.
Behold, I send an angel before thee.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second here.
To keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries. For mine angel shall go before thee, and bring thee in unto the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them, and quite break down their images. And ye shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall bless thy bread and thy water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of thee. There shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren in thy land. The number of thy days I will fulfill. I will send my fear before thee, and will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come. And I will make all thine enemies turn their backs unto thee. And I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, and the Hittite from before thee. I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate, and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. By little and little I will drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased and inherit the land. And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and thou shalt drive them out before thee. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee.
So in Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 through 33, this happens after the great flood. And one of the main things I want to point out here is that he said, thou shalt make no covenant with them. Part of that making no covenant is talking about marriage, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land. Who is he talking about? He's talking about people that do not serve God, especially the seed of Satan, lest they make thee sin against me. For if ye serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee. If you go to Leviticus 19:19, it say, ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender, which means cattle breed, with diverse kind. Thou shalt not plant thy fields with mingled seed, talking about mixed or blended seeds. Neither shall a garment blended with flax and woolen come upon thee. He's saying you shall not crossbreed animals. You shall not sow diverse seeds in the same field, and ye shall not wear clothes that even had blended fabrics. If you go to Deuteronomy 22:9, verses 9 through 11, it says, Thou shalt not plant thy vineyard, talking about the garden, with mingled seed, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast planted of the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled. The children of Israel was forbidden to crossbreed any organism. They could not crossbreed animals, plant diverse seeds in the same field. They could not even make clothing that contained sheep wool with plant fibers. Why did God do this? To teach the children of Israel a principle that the seeds of God did not comprehend when they came into the daughters of men and had children with them. If you go to Matthew 13, Matthew chapter 13 at verse 24, Christ gives a parable of the weeds. And this parable that he gives of the weeds is actually relating to Leviticus 19:19 and Deuteronomy 22:9 and 11. But it's just a little bit more detailed, but I want to read this parable. Another parable he put forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seeds in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and planted tares. Tares are the scientific term for tares is darnel among the wheat. So once again, it say the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed wheat. The good seed is wheat in his field. And what we have here is a field of wheat. The field of wheat represents the sons of God. But while men slept, his enemies came and sowed tares among the wheat. This is a field of tares. As you can see, there's a big difference between a field of wheat and a field of tares. Even tares are humble and bow down, but tares are pride and stand straight up. They're different in color. They're different in the purposes you can use them for. But as you can see, when you mingle the tares with the wheat, this is what you get. So, but while men slept, the enemy planted tares among the wheat. This is the same thing that happened when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. So Satan sowed the vineyard with diverse seed and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. These are their children. So the servant of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow wheat in thy field? From whence hath it tares? Like, these are the sons of God. How did the seed of Satan get mingled with the sons of God? He saith unto him, An enemy hath done this. So the servant said unto him, Will it then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while we gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of the harvest I will say unto the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles, and burn them, but gather the wheat into my barns. So, once again, the reason that God does not want the children, the sons of God, mingling with the sons of Satan is because if you go back to say, thou shalt not make no covenant with them, nor their gods, they shall not dwell in thy lands, lest they make thee sin against me. Satan's objective was to mingle the sons of God back with the sons of Satan. But as you can tell, there is a big difference between the sons of God, which is wheat, and darnel. Although they look similar, you cannot trick a gardener into thinking darnel is wheat or wheat is darnel. Hypocrites are not deceiving the sons of God. There is a distinct difference in the way the real Christian lives and the way hypocrites live. If you go to Matthew 6:2, it says, therefore, when thou doest thine alms, when you do a good deed, a charitable deed, it says, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the churches and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. If you go down to verse 5, and when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are. The hypocrites are the darnel. These are the tares. For they love to pray standing in the churches and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard of their much speaking. You can even go to Matthew 23, verses 5-7. But all their works they do. This is talking about the seed of Satan, the tares, the darnel. All their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their frontlets. These are frontlets. They wear these in Israel when they're praying. They say they make them broad and big. Kind of reminds me of the women in church today with these big, broad, fancy hats, and these men with these expensive outfits and fancy shoes, always having to stand out. It say, and enlarge their tassels on the end of their garments. Matthew 23:27 says, hypocrites, for ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward. You look fabulous on the outside. You got on the nicest suit with the prettiest tie, the fanciest shoes, a nice watch, ring, jewelry, hat, dress. Appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of uncleanliness. 1 Peter 3, verses 3-4 says, whosoever adorn themselves, let it not be the outward adorning of the plaiting of the hair, big fancy hairdos, or the wearing of gold, or the putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, the person on the inside. True believers are not worried about their outside appearance. They're worried about their inside appearance, making sure they're clean on the inside. So let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible. It doesn't care about being seen by men, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit. So that means don't be dressing all flamboyant. Matthew chapter 23, verse 67 says this. And the hypocrites love the uppermost rooms at the feast and the chief seats in the churches. They always got to sit up in the front pew. They always got to be in the pulpit. Matter of fact, even the preachers today have seats in the pulpit as if they are the king and queen of the congregation. This is hypocrisy. It say, and greetings in the markets, and like to be called of men rabbi, rabbi. In other words, they love titles like pastor, teacher, bishop, prophetess, father, bishop. They are not content with simply being called a child of God or a brother or sister in Christ. This is hypocrisy. These are the children of Satan, not the children of God. If you go back to Deuteronomy 22:10, it says, thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. 2 Corinthians 6:14 put it this way, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. A plow and a yoke is the same thing. It is this harness that connects the animals together while they're pulling something. The scriptures say, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. The sons of God and the daughters of men were unequally yoked together. They plowed with the ox and an ass together. And as you can see, that looks real stupid. You go back to Exodus 23:32-33. Thou shalt make no covenant. The yoke and the plow represents a covenant. Thou shalt not plow or yoke with them, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy lands, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee. Deuteronomy 22:11 says this, thou shalt not wear a garment of diverse sorts, all as woolen, which is sheep wool, or linen, which is plant fibers together. So once again, the children of Israel was forbidden. God was going to make sure that they understand this principle of not mingling the seed of God with the seed of Satan. Like I said, they could not crossbreed any organisms. They could not crossbreed animals, plants, diverse seeds in a field. God was going to make sure that the children of Israel understood this principle. And if you study the last lesson that I taught about, the bone of my flesh, this is why the children of Israel only married within their families. They married cousins because God taught them this principle. We're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses 1-6.
Deuteronomy 7. For the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me. They may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. But thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So, we're going to go back to verse 3. This is what Satan did back in Genesis in the 6th chapter when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. And here it say, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Your daughters, thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughters shalt thou take unto thy sons. Thou shalt not mingle. Be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. And this is why. This is what Satan's goal was. For they will turn away your sons from following me. Satan, clever. He knew exactly what he was doing when he tried to mingle the sons of God back with the daughters of men. The sons of God are not fallen angels. If you go to Malachi chapter 2 verses 11 through 12, it says, Judah hath dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah hath profaned the holiness of the Lord which he loved, and hath married the daughter of a strange god. The Lord will cut off the man that doeth this, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offer an offering unto the Lord of hosts. So if we go back to Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 and 2, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they was fair, and they let thy cattle gender with diverse kind. They mingled their garments of linen and wool. They sowed their vineyard with diverse seeds. They plowed with an ox and an ass. They became unequally yoked together with unbelievers. They took the wives, all of whom they chose. They became wheat and tares. And I'm going to close with that.